Climate change is as old as the Earth itself. It is a phenomenon that has been taking place and would continue to occur as long as the Earth exists. But the question is, what makes it a global topic and a cause for concern? Mankind. Yes, you and I. Global average temperatures over the years have experienced significant fluctuations, and this, unlike in the past, is occurring at a more rapid rate. This, of course, can be traced to human activities over the years, with an increase in human development and industrialization. The globe has become warmer through the constant release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, burning of fossil fuels, agricultural and land use, nonchalant attitude of humanity towards the environment that houses us. And this would most likely lead to the extermination of humankind and the earth as a whole. The earth is old, and mankind, through our attitude, is quickening the aging process. But let's look at Nigeria and climate change. As at 2021, data shows that Nigeria's population is estimated to be about 211,407,000. Today, the world is talking about achieving net zero, and Nigeria has committed itself to achieving this by 2060, which means by 2060, we will have zero carbon emissions. But we must ask the hard questions. Can this be achieved? Is it realistic? 2060 is 38 years away. This might seem far, but if we do not start now to set realistic goals, then, like other visions that have come and gone, 2060 will approach, and intelligent excuses will be given once again as to why we couldn't achieve this. Now, in order to achieve net zero carbon emissions, we need to know how much carbon is emitted per person per state. We need to have an up-to-date carbon database. How much tons of carbon emissions is released per state in Nigeria? And what are the steps taken to reduce this? Globally, as at 2021, the world recorded a global carbon emissions of about 36.3 billion tons. And this is a lot. The highest ever recorded, with some experts blaming this on the heavy reliance on coal as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. Nigeria's carbon emissions, as at 2020, was captured at 126.9 million tons. Now, we have a challenge that would keep biting us in the neck and serving as a stopgap to our efforts at carbon emission reductions. And this is lack of adequate power supply, as well as our source of power. Nigeria has the capacity to generate about 12,522 megawatts of electric power from its existing plants. But on an average, Nigeria generates a measly 4,000 megawatts for a population of over 200 million people. With its heavy reliance on thermal and hydropower sources, our main source of electricity comes from fossil fuels, and this accounts for 86% of the capacity in Nigeria, with only 14% coming from hydropower source. In 2022, we experienced multiple collapse of the national grid, with one of the reasons given being a drop in water levels. Then, of course, there is poor infrastructure mismanaged over the years. So the average Nigerian resorts to generators, thus increasing the carbon emissions in the atmosphere. Even those positioned to tackle this have to resort to the use of generating sets in order to carry out their daily work, thus adding to the already heavy carbon footprint. But enough of the complaints. What exactly is the solution? Renewable energy. But this must be decentralized so as to avoid going in circles. There are, of course, agencies and departments of government in partnership with foreign organizations that are working tirelessly to achieve this. Take the REA, Rural Electrification Agency, for example, whose goal is to increase access to electricity to 75% and 90% by 2020 and 2030, respectively, with focus on renewable energy. This is very laudable and commendable, but with a population of over 200 million, Nigeria has moved beyond just renewable energy for rural communities, but for every Nigerian, both in the urban and city centers. And this can easily be achieved through a decentralized system. Each state must be responsible for its power generation, and where it cannot achieve this, then it can come to an agreement with states that have in excess. This will give each state a boost in its IGR, especially for those that can generate their own power, and also a sense of responsibility towards its infrastructure, since this is generating money for the state. So, security is also taken care of. Of course, it is achievable. Today, countries like Albania, Iceland, and Paraguay are 100% on renewable energy. Even Norway obtains nearly all its electricity from renewable energy sources. China leads the world in solar power, accounting for 1/3 of globally installed solar capacity, with the US, India, Japan, Vietnam closely trailing behind. In fact, India has the largest solar farm in the world. We cannot continue to depend heavily on fossil fuel and expect to achieve net zero carbon emissions. And we cannot continue to spend heavily on renewable energy at just the rural level. This would only end up being an effort in futility. The system must be decentralized. This allows for efficient working and visible outcomes. Then there is the issue of education. To achieve net zero is not just a task for the Ministry of Environment and other agencies under it. And it is not just a task for the Ministry of Power and other agencies under it, but also for the Ministry of Education and relevant bodies affiliated to it. In fact, the drive to achieving net zero must be cross-cutting, cutting across all federal ministries, agencies, and state departments. No one must work in isolation. We need national orientation, not just at the rural and grassroots level, but at the nursery and primary level. We need to catch them young. Let the children know the difference between non-biodegradable and degradable substances. Let them begin to separate their trash into different bins. Our supermarkets need to be educated on reducing the usage of plastic bags in stores and rather turn to more degradable substances. Our road sweepers need to know that it is an effort in futility when you sweep our roads and throw the sand into the drainage. Children need to know from an early age about carbon data, carbon footprint, ozone-depleting substances, and so much more. When they start young, it never departs from them. When tech began to grow in Nigeria, children were encouraged to start learning coding. And yet, climate change poses a serious threat to the globe, and so it is best that our children begin now to know about climate change and everything related to it. And also we the citizens need to take more responsibility. But you cannot give what you do not have. The task is great. If done right, the outcome will be great for every one of us. A cleaner environment, a healthier environment, a balance between man and nature, more trees and forests to absorb CO2 emissions, less harmful gases into the atmosphere, smart houses, smart streets, a green economy, and a healthy nation. Carbon emission reduction is possible, but we must start today.